Hey guys, welcome to the ATP project. You're with your host Steve-O and Nick.
How are you? I like you said Steve-O. That makes me sound like a real Aussie.
I always call you Steve-O. I can't call you Steve anymore. This is just Steve-O.
Steve-O.
I
sign
we're
off on
Australian. We like to put O's at the end of everything.
Official, I'm Australian back to convict days.
Anyway, back to the podcast.
Back to the podcast.
Sorry,
now,
forgot we were just having a conversation.
I got a bone because last week you left them hanging.
I did leave everyone hanging last week,
yes. You just downed on the thyroid. You mentioned how bad it is.
All the things that can go wrong.
Eating bad, gut microbiome, thyroid resistance, metabolic syndrome, all these things that screw up your thyroid.
Yeah, and then I just left it. Didn't tell anyone how to fix it.
Yeah, great naturopath you are.
I know. I'm like, go figure that out for yourself. No. We're back this week to talk about ways that we can help to improve our thyroid, look at the reasons why our thyroid's gone out of whack, the dietary interventions, some supplementation. It's good supplements, good nutrients, bad nutrients, things like that. So
we're all about the cause.
Yep.
But we do have to address some of the nutritional things that go along with your thyroid. So we've got to talk about how to diagnose it too and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you mentioned things like a full thyroid panel. Now, the panel is numerical. What are you talking about?
Well, we did touch on this in the first part of this podcast last week. So that most of the time when you go to see your GP, if they even test your TSH at all, that is all they'll test. A lot of times they won't even look at thyroid, but if they do, it's just TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone. Mm-hmm. So, and that doesn't tell us a great deal about what's actually going on with the thyroid. It's not actually a thyroid hormone. Mm-hmm. So when we measure, we like to get a full thyroid panel. So an extensive panel because we want to really have a look at every possibility that could be going on. So obviously we get TSH is part of it, free T3 and free T4.
Right. Now when you say free, you mean unbound. So it's the cost is not. We're talking about cost because these things should be bulk billed. I think these ones are, but I don't think your next one is.
They're not. So T3 and T4 are not bulk billed.
Really?
No, only TSH. Yeah, that's where the problem lies. And I guess a lot of GPs, it's not really their fault. It's Medicare. In Australia, it's our medical system. Yep. It's not on the list. So
is there reasoning? I don't agree with a lot what the government comes out with, but doctors just to go into bat for them for a sec. If they start ordering tests that are unnecessary, they get scrutinised.
They do
by Medicare.
Yep.
And they are restricted. So what should a GP test for? If you and I and everyone just say everything, please test me for everything. Yeah. And it's like, okay, you do that and you'll be deregistered in no time.
So it's not entirely their fault. Mm-hmm. But if they test TSH and TSH becomes back out of range, they then are allowed to test T4.
That's right, yeah.
And then if T4 comes out of range, they will sometimes test T3. Yep. And sometimes not. But primarily just TSH. And that's it. And as we said, that could be look perfectly fine. Yeah. But if we look at T3, T4, reverse T3 is another one that we check.
Reverse T3 we talked about last week. That's a sort of a baddie, we call it. It puts the brakes on our thyroid.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's a way to describe it. Yeah. So reverse T3. Yep. And that, if you're stressed, you make a lot of reverse T3. Or you're starving.
Inflammation.
Yep. Inflammation.
Yep. Anything like that. So you might again have relatively normal levels of TSH, free T4, and even free T3 might have really okay levels. Mm-hmm. But your reverse T3 could be 800-900 possibly.
Yeah,
which is very high.
It should be around 100, I think, if my memory serves.
Yeah, you really don't want it over 300 at max, really.
You can order these blood tests, can't you? Yeah. You can.
I can.
The only difference is that the client pays for them.
They're out of pocket, obviously.
And then these aren't the most expensive things to pay for, even if you're out of pocket. If you really think you've got a thyroid problem. Yeah, definitely. If you've got no symptoms and you're just curious, I wouldn't suggest it. But
you can get a good full thyroid panel for around $200.
Really?
So, which is, I guess it's not cheap for some people, but I guess if you are having a lot of problems and you're not getting answers through your GP, then it's worth spending the money to have a look. So, if I have patients that I would suspect there is thyroid issues, I order the panel. So, and a lot of them are very happy to pay for it for that reason. Yep. And then this is something that the GPs very rarely check is thyroid antibodies.
Right. So antibodies are immune things that attack things or bind to things.
Yeah.
So thyroid antibodies, what does that mean?
Yeah, so if you're producing thyroid antibodies, it can indicate that you have an autoimmune condition.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, you could have normal TSH, normal T3, or when I say within range, and T4, T3, and TSH all look relatively normal.
Mm-hmm.
And then so people go no further with testing. But I have so many times seen in clinic where I've tested antibodies, and antibodies have come back through the roof. So there's an autoimmune condition present. So either Hashimoto's, which is underactive, or Graves', which is overactive.
Right.
So, and it's not an uncommon thing to see. So
no, it's pretty common.
Super important to check antibodies. And look, don't quote me on this, but I think I have read and studies show that GPs don't test antibodies because it doesn't change their treatment strategy.
Because they've got no treatment for it.
Yeah, they're not clinically relevant in orthodox medicine.
Yes.
They ignore them. So, and I have had clients say, my doctor said I won't test them because I don't know how to treat them. And they've actually said that to them.
And Dr. Doug said, it sort of stuck with me when we talk about, he's been on the podcast before, my father-in-law, and he says, look, there's no point in testing something you can't, treat.
Yeah.
Now, medicine is not good at treating autoimmune diseases.
No.
They have some. Yeah. They treat with methotrexate, and they have Zumabs, which is a class of drugs that knock out certain chemicals. Like toxizumab is one for knocking out interleukin-6 if you've got rheumatoid arthritis. But we naturopaths are good at treating this because it comes from the gut largely.
Largely it does, yeah.
What other things can we test for?
So then I would always be looking at full bloods as well, because you can pick up a lot of things for full bloods.
Mm-hmm.
So, all your nutrients. So with zinc specifically, I would test for zinc because zinc deficiency can impact thyroid hormone production and conversion. I always look at homocysteine as well.
Homocysteine, that's an amino acid that can be toxic for the heart and the brain.
Yeah.
And it affects the thyroid.
It can affect the thyroid, and it can indicate methylation issues, which then can impact the thyroid as well.
Of course.
Or your inflammatory markers, so high sensitivity CRP and ESR as well.
C-reactive protein in erythrocyte sedimentary rate. They're inflammatory markers that are non-specific, but if you've got some inflammation, there's something going on in your body.
That's right. And generally, if there's inflammation, it can impact thyroid, as we said last week. So I always check for those as well. Sex hormones, so always get hormonal profiles done as well, because obviously hormonal imbalances, as we talked about last week as well, they can impact thyroid as well. And then lipid markers, again, for the cholesterol aspect, we talked about the connection between underactive thyroid and high lipid markers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liver function tests, because thyroid can impact liver.
Yes,
liver detoxification
and the liver's
vice
required
versa.
to activate thyroid hormones.
That's
with iodinase. Yeah, okay. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, insulin definitely, HbA1c, and which is sort of your long-term, 3 months sort of look at your blood glucose levels.
That stands for hemoglobin A1c, if you're wondering.
Yeah, so check for those.
Yep.
Iron studies, because iron is vitally important for thyroid function.
It is.
Thyroid
and iron study is interesting because you can get serum iron, you can get ferritin, which is stored iron, and heaps of other things.
Yeah, and a lot of times GPs, although I'm seeing less and less that they're just doing single tests, but they used to just do ferritin. They still sometimes will just do ferritin, which is your iron storage. Doesn't tell you anything really much about what's going on.
No, it should be over 30 minimum and up to 300.
Yeah.
That's the range.
Yeah, and then sometimes it can be up to 200-300, even higher, and they say, well, you're fine because you've got good ferritin stores, but if they haven't measured your inflammatory markers and your inflammatory markers are high, then that does not indicate that you have good iron stores specifically. Yeah. It just means the inflammation means that your body sequestered the iron away. So So you need to get a full panel to have a look at all the iron markers. Right. B12 and folate, I always check that as well. And I get a cortisol. I get a blood cortisol because it's easy. It's not the most accurate, but it can give a bit of an indication as well whether there's a stress factor.
And morning cortisol?
Usually morning cortisol, fasted morning cortisol.
That's good because that's typically higher in the morning. Yeah. Cortisol diminishes can drop to zero in the evening.
It can. Yeah. So you want to get it early. So pretty much within that half an hour to an hour of waking up, you want to get your cortisol tested. But, salivary cortisol is a more accurate measure. But if they're getting full bloods, then I just put it in there anyway.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because you can
That's
get
a good idea.
So you want to get that, just your general bloods and those extras as well, and that can give indications. And then kidney function as well, as we talked about in the first podcast. thyroid, if you have thyroid imbalances, it can impact kidney function. So you can see a little bit of drop in your glomerular filtration rate, things like that. So
you could test for what they call an EGFR, which is the estimated glomerular filtration rate, which is it's only for adults. So you can't do it for children.
No.
And it should be what they say above 70. Or hopefully above 90.
Above 90 optimally.
Yeah.
But and I generally see it down in the 80s and 70s in people that have thyroid issues.
I screwed a test up for me. You know what I did once?
What?
I had there's a test and I went to the gym.
Oh, no.
And then did it straight after. My EGFR was 45. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, hang on. Oh, idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say to clients, rested and hydrated.
Yes.
So when you test for bloods,
don't
exercise before.
No, don't do that. EGFR is peaks at around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So it is time dependent, that one, but that's very interesting.
Yeah. So that, and then your full thyroid panel with your thyroid antibodies.
Yeah.
Super important if you have it, and particularly if you have a history or family history of autoimmune conditions. I'd always be getting thyroid antibodies done.
For me, and you mentioned your TSH, mine was 0.9, and that was the only, I've only ever tested my thyroid once in my entire life because I've got none of the symptoms.
Yeah.
So there's no real, I'd love to do all tests, why not, to find out, but I don't have that clinical reasoning. But because that was 0.9, it's pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
But this is important if you really think you've got thyroid issues.
Yeah, super important because you have to start somewhere. So you want to see first of all, what's happening with the thyroid, and then you want to then dive into, why?
Yeah.
What's causing the thyroid to react this way? So then we move in. So that's the testing that we would do initially.
Yep.
And then we'd move into, we can talk about treatments.
Oh, can we talk about natural? No, we're going to talk about orthodox treatment first. There's only a couple of them.
There's only a couple. So it's just hormone hormone replacement.
What did you say, hormone?
Hormone thyroid. I got that back the front, dyslexia. Thyroid hormone replacement.
Yep.
So T4, primarily T4.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll do a combination T4, T3, depending on the presentation.
Yeah. T4 is interesting because T4 has got a half-life of about, I think it's 6 days. It's an extraordinarily long half-life. So it's a very easy one to maintain. A lot of the treatment from doctors say take 150 one day and then 100 the next and 50, they vary it because of the long half-life.
Yeah.
So it's a nice stable medicine, but it's not active.
No, it's not.
So if you've got screwed up zinc and selenium and things we'll talk about later, then you need supplement T3 or fix the cause.
That's right, yeah. And that's what I see a lot. I mean, so many people, they are on thyroid medications and they still have problems. And a lot of times the thyroid medications, they can't get the dosages right because whatever's impacting the thyroid is causing that issue. So that's pretty much orthodox treatment is T4 and then possibly T3.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. So, and look, to be honest, I've seen that work for some people, particularly more with hyperthyroid or Graves. I've seen it work because that's a more dangerous state rather than hypothyroidism. So Graves, you really want to jump on pretty quickly. So I would never also say to anyone, don't go on thyroid medication if you've been recommended to go on it. I think that's probably the safe thing to say.
Oh, good idea.
But there is also things we can do to treat thyroid while you're on medications.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I would also say don't go on medication unless you absolutely have to because it can be very difficult to then come off it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you want to be really careful, make sure you're seeing a good doctor that has good knowledge of thyroid health when you're looking at thyroid medication.
Now, you've got a good thyroid health and you're a naturopath. Now, what naturally can we do? This gets me excited.
Yeah.
So hit me with a few of your treatments and we'll talk about them in detail.
Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is try and find the root cause.
Of course. I want to, absolutely. You've got to get to the cause of it.
Got to get to the cause of it. Because what we will say is that it's not just a matter of putting in the thyroid, the nutrients that are very good for thyroid function and then leaving it there. You have to support the thyroid while you're doing other things. And that's where I think a lot of people go wrong. They just take some sort of thyroid supplement and expect it to work without looking at underlying things.
Look, I see them out there and they're usually got iodine and tyrosine in there and for good reason.
Yeah.
because that's what makes thyroid hormone.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to it.
There is so much, and we can talk about iodine and tyrosine because, there's some issues there with people
there are
taking
issues.
those.
You don't want to have, you got to be careful. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
So hit me with what you would recommend, given you've got to get to the cause and given you've got all those things. What would be one of the first supplements you'd recommend?
Inositol.
It is, isn't it?
Every time now, because there's so much research on it, and I just can't not put it in there. It's literally the first supplement that I will put in there.
It's funny you should mention that because there's a paper published, The Role of Inositol in Thyroid Physiology and Subclinical Hypothyroid Management. That's the name of the title.
Love it.
Big review paper saying that, guess what? Inositol's brilliant.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant. So if you give it to it, TSH levels significantly decrease, which is good.
Which is what you want if they're high.
They're high, yeah.
Yep.
And that's with or without autoimmune thyroiditis.
Yeah.
But also declines anti-thyroid antibodies too, which is terrific.
Yep.
So it's very good for your autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
It reduced the size if you got goiter, it reduced the size. So, I mean, this is pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't see it in thyroid formulas out there.
You never, very, very rarely would you see it. Very rarely. Well, in fact, I don't think I've ever seen it in Australia in thyroid supplements. To be honest. But it should be. Because yes, it's amazing. As you said, it's anti-inflammatory, so it works on inflammation with thyroid.
Yep.
It definitely helps to regenerate the thyroid structure as well. Very good for post-viral thyroiditis.
Of course.
Very good.
We talked about that last week with the many viruses that cause it.
Yeah.
This was just for the guys. This was published in Frontiers of Endocrinology 2021. This paper, so
perfect. You're going to look
really good paper about it. Big review paper. And there's a lot of evidence about it.
Oh, there's so much. It also regulates glucose uptake, so it helps with that glucose blood sugar. Supports the nervous system as well.
Yeah.
Inositol, really good. It can help with your sleep. So obviously if you have poor sleep, and we talked about how sleep can impact thyroid as well. So it has sort of some multi-actions with it as well. And as you said, it can reduce thyroid antibodies as well.
Yep.
And it works very well synergistically with the next supplement that I love for
another
thyroid
supplement.
Function. Yeah.
All right.
Selenium.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
Yeah.
So inositol and selenium really pair really well for thyroid function. A lot of studies showing that they can reduce thyroid antibodies, autoantibodies.
Selenium's a cool mineral. It's needed in the body. It's a potent. It makes antioxidants, makes glutathione.
Yeah.
So glutathione is the triamino acid that's very good to reduce oxidation in the body, detoxifies heavy metals. So if your thyroid's caused by heavy metals, this would be an essential one.
Totally essential. And even if it's not through heavy metals, still definitely, important. And it helps that conversion of T4 to T3, which we talked a little bit about in the first podcast. So T4 is your more inactive form of thyroid hormone, and it needs to convert to the active T3. And a lot of people struggle with that conversion, so they don't convert well.
That's true. Now, let's get a bit nerdy. Let's take T4. It's got 4 iodine atoms on it, right? T3 has, guess how many?
1, 2, 3.
3. So you remove an iodine, and the enzyme's called deiodinase.
Yeah.
So it's deiodinase, but you remove that off there. So people often prescribe thyroid, iodine because of these iodines in there, but you're removing an iodine to activate your thyroid.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other minerals that remove that iodine? Helps with deiodinase?
Zinc.
That's it.
We're going to talk about. I want to talk about iodine at the end.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Everyone's
controversy.
A lot of controversy around that. Zinc.
I
mean, what is zinc not needed for really in the body?
It's needed to make testosterone. That's it for me. I'm taking it.
Everything. Mental health, gut health, hormones, thyroid, needed for the conversion T4 to T3.
Good for your sperm.
Very good for your sperm, yes. So it's good for so many different things. Immune function, we all need it. A lot of people are depleted because of either high stress or malabsorption, poor diet, all of that sort of thing. So
shitty diets mainly. It's just refined foods and all that crap that we're told we're supposed to eat,
Yeah.
It's very high in nuts, which everyone says, it's high in fat, we've got to avoid it. It's like, no. I mean, just I gave you guys some nuts today as presents, and I like you guys. Yes. I'm not trying to kill you.
No, you're not trying. Well, so I don't know. Now I'm thinking maybe Steve wanted this one to be a one-man show. Or
I gave you the fattiest nuts that are around.
You did give me the fattiest nuts.
You liked my nuts, didn't you?
I did like your nuts, yes. I got the Australian ones, Steve.
You did. They are Australian.
Yeah, they're amazing. I love macadamias.
They're from Hawaii originally, I think.
Are they?
I think so.
Really? Because where I live, there is a high macadamia nut area.
Wow.
Or the macadamia nut
Oh,
farms out near Bundaberg. And
Do you ever pinch any off the trees?
no, but I want to.
Oh, you want to?
I want to, but I think they all have cameras. Because I often think, I don't know, because they're never fenced.
Yeah, I said that quietly.
I know, but yes, I have often thought that. But you can't, there's a bit of shell, so then you've got to crack the shell open. Anyway, zinc. Zinc.
Great for
So
thyroid.
zinc's another one. So I've got inositol, selenium, zinc. They're really important ones.
Give me another one.
Here's one for you, Steve, that's probably a little bit left of field that some people wouldn't think about. Nigella or black seed.
She's that chef, isn't she?
Yeah, I know. It's
Been
funny
waiting
when
for hours to say that, Gabe. Nigella Lawson. She is hot too. I like her.
Is she? Yeah, okay.
She's really attractive. I don't know why.
Oh, well, there you go. So Nigella seeds or black seeds.
Nigella sativa, yep.
Yeah, so really, really great in herbal medicine for a lot of different reasons, but it can lower TSH levels, increase T3 levels.
I've got a coloured graph here to show you about Nigella.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at this. This is published in the Complementary and Alternative Medicine 2016, and it goes through all the reasons that Nigella works and how it works. You're not going to put this is like a resume of the who's who. So you take Nigella, it works in the brain, but it also decreases TSH and increases T3, which is the active thyroid. It reduces vascular endothelial growth production, which is the cancers, and it also helps with reducing cyclic change 2, that's inflammation. It reduces insulin resistance and reduces oxidative stress.
It does so many things. Yeah,
and it reduces weight.
Reduces weight, yep.
There's more. Steak knives.
There's more.
It increases lipolysis, so the fat breakdown, and reduces lipogenesis.
Yep.
I love it.
It's great. And it's very good for the gut because it's antimicrobial in the gut. So therefore the gut, there's that gut thyroid connection. So when we talked about in the first podcast, when you can have gut imbalances, dysbiosis, Nigella is good for the gut and it helps to reduce antibodies as well. And it's anti-allergenic. So it's very good for people with allergies, histamine issues, things like that. So I think that there's this, isn't there in a lot of the, in the history of Nigella, the saying is that it cures everything except death.
Yes.
Isn't it something along those lines?
There's something about that.
It's it's a really good herb. So, and so great for autoimmune thyroid conditions. I generally put that in for thyroid autoimmunity because it's very good for the antibodies.
Oh,
it's just a really good, I love it. So that's another favourite.
The good thing when we're talking about these sort of herbs is you could technically take this for arthritis because it reduces inflammation.
Yeah.
And it's very, very, it does lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
You want to lose weight, it's a great substance. I mean, it's just got everything going on with it.
Yeah, it's great. Really, really good. I think it's related. It's got thymol in it. So I think it's from the thyme family. Thyme family.
Thyme family,
yes,
that's right.
That's that antimicrobial aspect.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a really good one. So love Nigella.
Yeah, we love Nigella.
Thyroid.
I love Nigella. Ugh.
Yeah. Right.
My wife watches this to the week.
I feel for Beck sometimes.
Something about her, I don't know, just...
I know, there's something about her.
You see it too?
Yeah, I see it too.
As a woman?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, I do. She's a very attractive woman. It's true.
Good.
Yeah, she's smart.
She's
successful.
Successful.
Strong woman,
I love
all
it,
that sort of thing.
That's
good cook. Chef.
She's a great chef.
Not a chef, she's a cook, isn't she?
She's a home cook and, I just don't care what she cooks.
Anyway, moving
along. What else you got for me? What are there? Any vitamins?
Yeah, so vitamin D, Steve.
Oh, vitamin D, one of my favourite vitamins.
Vitamin D, really good for the immune system.
Yeah.
When there's any autoimmunity present, really important to have good vitamin D levels. So we want to make sure that they're in good amounts. So ideally 100, if there's autoimmunity present, anything up to 150.
Yep, that's the upper limit.
The upper level. So I mean, they say anything over 30 is adequate, but for autoimmune conditions, you would want to see it higher. But around 100 and 120 is quite good.
Yep.
So
it's good.
Yeah, so really, really important to have that immune support from the vitamin D.
Yes, that's really good.
Here's another one for you, Steve, and I know you've got a paper on this one.
Oh, what is it?
Withania or ashwagandha, as people know it.
It's sort of called ginseng too. It's called everything.
Yeah.
I've got a paper on it, and it's the title, Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, published 2017. It's called The Efficacy and Safety of Ashwagandha Root Extract in Subclinical Hypothyroid Patients, a double-blind, randomised, placebo-controlled trial.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Try to say that. So what they did was they gave them ashwagandha, and again, placebo-controlled, and it found that, and I'll just read the conclusion, treatment with ashwagandha may be beneficial for normalising thyroid indices in subclinical hypothyroid patients. It reduces TSH, which is good, increases T3 and increases T4.
Amazing.
Does everything. And what I liked about this was that there was 4 subjects that reported adverse effects. There was only 1 in the ashwagandha group and 3 in the placebo group.
Oh, really?
So the placebo is more...
Had more side effects.
Because the side effect of taking ashwagandha, like I take this stuff because it helps you sleep.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned withania samara, the Latin of samara is sleep. So this helps you sleep.
Yeah.
But also it helps you with stress.
Yeah, it's great for adrenal function.
Yeah. Helps you with the thyroid, helps testosterone levels, helps women's problems.
Yep.
Remember we talked
about that. Yes, we have.
Won't go into detail about that. We got an email about that.
Did we?
Yeah. People didn't like us talking the detailed women's stuff.
Oh, goodness.
But it's great. I mean, it really is a great herb for all sorts of things. One of my faves.
Yeah.
One of my wife's faves because it's just great for normalising brain function. So, this is if you're going to take this one, you could take it in the evening just to help you sleep.
Yeah, definitely.
And you could take it in the morning to help you with your stress for the day.
Yep.
And helps your thyroid.
Yep. So amazing. Good for so many things.
So many things. All right.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
Here's
what else can we take?
Steve. Iron.
Iron?
Yeah.
Isn't that just a blood thing?
No. Well, no.
No.
Very important in thyroid function. If we have anemia, more than likely you'll have a thyroid issue.
And that's tricky.
Vitally important.
Because you got to think of this, that they're both similar. You're tired despite sleeping well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you've got anemia, I know it's off topic, then you'll be tired all day.
Yeah.
If you've got low thyroid, you'll be tired all day.
Yep.
So it could be anemia, thyroid. They're very interchangeable.
Very much so.
And I do have a paper on this. It's a systemic review meta-analysis, so the strongest form of iron. Basically says what you just said. It's extraordinarily good. Got to be very careful in women.
Yes.
Because women need more iron than men.
Much more, yep.
So there were 10 cross-sectional studies, blah, blah, blah. And this is the best p-value I think I've ever seen. The lower the p-value, the more significant it is.
Yes.
They correlated iron with thyroid function, and it was p less than 0.0000001.
Wow.
5 zeros, 1. So that's incredibly significant.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, that is really, really important to show the strength between iron and thyroid. And again, the good old thyroid formulas rarely have iron in it.
Very, very rarely have iron in it, and vitally important. Thyroid peroxide enzyme is responsible for the first 2 steps in the thyroid hormone synthesis.
Wow.
And it's heme dependent.
Yeah.
So you need that iron to help with that TPO.
And you mentioned heme. Heme is a type of iron.
Yeah.
It's the 2+ mineral, not 3+. 3+ found in spinach.
Yeah.
Red meat has 2+.
Yes.
So sorry for the vegans out there. I've just offended you all, but I didn't make the rules up.
And that's interesting that you say vegans plant-based because they're more inclined to have thyroid issues because low iron and B12. So B12 is also important in that sort of thing as well. So, they can be a little bit more inclined to have some thyroid issues, methylation, that sort of thing. So iron, vitally important. So if you have iron deficiency, then look at thyroid function because it could well be impacting that as well.
We're humans are very iron-based and, it's the most abundant mineral in the earth. Did you know that?
I did know that because you told me that before.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Because, when our sun's our size, right, they aim up to iron, the mineral weight, before they collapse, right? So iron is an extraordinarily abundant mineral in the universe. Otherwise, if large stars go into a black hole and go sometimes supernova, they explode. And when they explode, they make the heavier elements, like heavier than iron. But iron that's why our Earth, because our sun, second generation star, it's already blown up once. It's going at it a second time or a third time, depending on which research paper you read. So that iron that's made our Earth is made up of humans now. So we need iron like there's no tomorrow. It's intrinsically linked with us.
It is.
We are star children too.
Star children.
Well, we are. We're made of star stuff.
Seeds of the earth.
Yep, absolutely.
No, but it's true.
That's why iron's so important for humans.
Very important. Very important.
Love it.
So iron's another one. Here's another one for you, Steve. Vitamin A.
Vitamin A. I've got a paper on that.
Oh, look at that. How ironic.
Another narrative, and the title will give it away. The relationship between thyroid disorders and vitamin A. Narrative review published in Frontiers Endocrinology. It was a great paper too. And just shows you that they're an incredible link between vitamin. Now, vitamin A is a bit of a mystery one again, a little bit, I'll call it controversial.
Yes,
because it's one of the only ones you can sort of tox out on.
Yes.
And, you know, if you're, and a lot of young women have thyroid issues. And vitamin A is typically contraindicated for young women because if you have a lot of vitamin A and you fall pregnant, then you're in trouble because vitamin A is teratogenic.
Yes.
At high doses.
Yes. And that's, I think, where a lot of the controversy came because it was something like that the upper limit is 750 international units, is it? But that's the studies that were done on are very old, and they're now saying you could really realistically go up to 10,000 without any issues, but you keep it low. But yes, vitally important. It's needed for the conversion of T4 to T3 and for transporting thyroid hormones around the body as well. So super important. So,
and if you're thinking of getting pregnant, why you do that, I wouldn't have an idea. But if you,
if you all the mothers out there,
oh yeah, look, here we go, more emails. I know what I said. But then just have like leafy green vegetables and plant-based to get the carotenoids.
Yeah, so you can, and we talk about selenium, we talk about zinc, we talk about iron, vitamin E, vitamin A. Get all this from your diet primarily and then supplement obviously to top things up and if you have deficiencies. But you can get all of these things in your diet as well. So you want to make sure that you have a really nice balanced diet so you can get you these nutrients and then we just top you up with supplement, which is why they're called supplements.
Yep.
Supplement you with what you need to top up. So vitamin A really important as well.
Really important. Paper on that. And what other vitamins are important?
Vitamin E.
Yeah,
so another fat-soluble vitamin.
Vitamin E was one of the first things that interested me in natural medicine because there was a nurses study years ago and they gave the nurses, thousands of nurses, 100 IUs of vitamin E and they had 40% less heart attacks.
Yeah.
And
very good for the cardiovascular
What the hell is that?
Very good. It's a good antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, very good for cardiovascular health.
Yep.
Protects you from free radical damage, that sort of thing. So I love it. I actually take vitamin E. I take a natural form in a vitamin E, non-synthetic.
Because there's kind of 8 forms or 4 terms of tocopherols, alpha, beta, gamma, delta.
Yep.
Remember that without I'm trying to remember my Greek alphabet.
Yeah.
And then you got the tocopherols.
Yep.
Which have got the same form.
Yeah, and tocotrienols, and there's so many different things. But
it's amazing. And so you take the natural one. Gamma tocopherol has an amazing effect, I think, on the prostate or something. It's a really important one.
Yeah.
Get it in
vitamin
sesame
A is
seeds.
really, really important. So I like it for that aspect, the antioxidant aspect, and obviously the cardiovascular, particularly if you have Graves or hyperthyroidism, it's really harsh on the cardiovascular system. So really good for that. So I like a bit of vitamin E in there.
Vitamin E protects LDL from being oxidised, and oxidised LDL is the bad one.
Yeah, definitely. And here's another one I love, glutathione or N-acetylcysteine.
Yeah.
So glutathione, obviously master antioxidant, can be depleted when we have oxidative stress, obviously infections, heavy metals, all that sort of thing that can impact the thyroid function. So you want to get some good free antioxidants in there. Glutathione is my favourite, but N-acetylcysteine is also great. So that's a precursor to glutathione. And NAC also has other benefits as well. So liver detoxification, all of that sort of thing, immune function. So either or of those are really good as well.
They call it NAC.
NAC, they do call it NAC. Yeah, NAC.
And it always confused me because is it N-acetylcysteine or is that N-acetylcarnitine?
N-acetylcysteine, that one, yeah. So they're really good. I do love glutathione. You've got to be careful. Get the correct form. Liposomal glutathione is a good one. So magnesium, Steve.
Oh, what isn't that good for? We could do. Well, we've done podcasts on magnesium galore, but what you're talking thyroid here. So how does it play a role in the thyroid?
So if you have a magnesium deficiency, it can impact your ability to uptake iodine into the thyroid. So that can definitely impact, obviously, thyroid function. And it plays a really important role in secretion of T3.
Wow, that's the active one.
Yeah,
that's the one we want.
Yeah, so magnesium deficiencies can affect thyroid. And then obviously, it's anti-inflammatory. It works on nervous system function. It helps with sleep. It helps with cardiovascular health. all the other things that can then impact thyroid and vice versa. So, and magnesium is one of the minerals that is depleted very often in people. It can be very easily depleted. So that's really important to have good magnesium levels.
And it's found in leafy greens and nuts, which are terribly deficient in the Australian diet. Not ours.
No, but not this office.
Not this office.
Steve brings them the nuts every week. He's got good supplies. He brings
love them.
Big containers of it. Everyone loves them.
I gave the videographer behind the camera a big bag of them today.
I know, I heard that. I got a little bag. You got a big bag.
Yes, you got a little bag.
How does that work?
But I gave you an apple as well.
That's true, I got the apple as well.
Because you do look like Snow White.
Apparently so, according to a 12-year-old.
That was funny. Because I looked at you and I went, you kind of do.
I'd love it if he came back in again and I knew he was coming and I'd get a Snow White outfit.
Yes. That was a blue top, big red skirt. I'm trying to remember Snow White.
Blue with the white sleeves, like blue vesty thing and a big skirty thing. Yeah.
Wow. And you're just going to fall asleep?
Maybe, yeah.
And then get someone to kiss you.
I don't know. I don't know
how that works. I can't remember.
No, I have my prince, so that's all.
Yeah, that's right. Your prince.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on.
Does Cam listen to us?
No, he never listens. Yeah, he loves what I do. He doesn't even listen. Never.
Beck listens to everything, and she likes you.
Oh,
she doesn't know you that
Beck.
well, but no, she does.
I like Beck because she puts up with you, so she's got.
She's an incredible woman for that.
Yeah, she must be very patient.
She's a sweetie.
No, she's sensitive. I have met Beck. I met Beck at Did I meet Beck at one of the? Anyway, sorry, we'll digress. At one of the ATP events.
Yeah, she came on one, and I was sitting with Matt.
That's right, long time ago. Anyway, going back to where we were talking about. CoQ10, Steve.
CoQ10, ubiquinol or ubiquinone. There's two forms.
Yep.
Ubiquinol is the better one.
Yeah,
it's
much
reduced.
better. Yep. Anyone over 50 needs the ubiquinol.
Thank you for telling me. You point at me when you say that.
You, Steve. Yes. So very good. So mitochondrial helps with mitochondrial function. So when there's thyroid, we have thyroid imbalances, particularly underactive thyroid or hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's. We have that fatigue. So we need to support the mitochondria because that's where we produce our energy. So CoQ10, vitally important for that. And it's also an antioxidant.
Yeah,
so it can be really helpful when there's toxic impact on the thyroid as well. So I like that. And then your B vitamins, B complex, standard.
Active B vitamins.
Active Bs, good for nervous system function, methylation, all of that sort of thing. And then, so very, very important. I like the Bs.
I love the Bs, and you can take them in the morning. This is it's kind of like you got to look at the Bs and make sure when we say active, we mean like like pyridoxal 5-phosphate instead of pyridoxine, which is B6.
Yeah.
So look for those sorts of things, active B vitamins. That's what you look for. Yeah. Very often combined with ginsengs and ashwagandha. So keep an eye out for that. Very good.
Very good.
Now you've got here support liver health. Firstly, how do we support our liver?
So the liver, so liver is vitally important for everything in the body. So we need to support the liver all the time anyway. It's a detoxification organ. It can get impacted significantly. If we can't detox properly, we can have a lot of issues. But really important for thyroid function. So the conversion takes place in the liver, that T4 to T3. So really important to have healthy liver function. And then obviously heavy metals and things like that. If we're dealing with heavy metals that are impacting the thyroid, a lot of times we need to detox through the liver. So we want to have really healthy liver function and good, clear detox pathways. So phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3.
Nice.
So, making sure that we're supporting it with diet, obviously. So having a nice unprocessed diet, whole foods, avoiding sugars, avoiding highly refined carbohydrates, things like that. And then your bitter foods can be really helpful as well. And then if you're looking at herbs and things like that, so dandelion root, schizandra, globe artichoke, all those types of liver
Mariana milk thistle.
Yeah.
It's funny because my very first year in naturopathy in 95 was Dr. Ray Teal was teaching us, and he said, we looked at him as some sort of guru, really trained in America, brilliant herbalist, and he said, he's trying to think of the last herbal tincture he didn't put dandelion root in.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow.
I love it. I mean, I don't prescribe a lot of tinctures these days because they are very, very expensive. Yeah. So a lot of people just can't afford them. But it's a shame because I would use them all the time. I love them. And I always used to put the liver herbs in there.
I texted you last night. What was it?
You did. Artemisia.
Yes. I said, you want me to bring the Artemisia bottle in? And did you want some Artemisia? Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Sorry, so I shouldn't ask that on camera, but I'll bring something tomorrow.
Yes,
that's
no,
all right.
Steve, no, I've got your
I just need
Andrew Graffis. Yeah, Andrews. Yes, Steve hands out all the herbs.
Oh, Andrew Graffis, yeah.
Yeah, yes. Artemisia's, that's good again. So yeah, liver support, really important to support the liver for any condition, but thyroid health definitely because of that connection to the thyroid. So they're the sort of supplements, nutrients and vitamins that I would recommend to support the thyroid. Why we're looking at what's going on, what's causing the thyroid issue. And then we need to look at lifestyle, Steve.
Lifestyle? What do you mean by lifestyle?
So obviously we can't just give you supplements and just say, there you go, off you go, everything's going to be fine. We need to look at your diet, your stress management, how well you're sleeping, whether you're exercising, all of that sort of thing, really important. So, and, when we're talking about health, any health condition, it takes work to get back to a healthy state. You can't just, take a pill and expect it to get better. You have to put in the hard work. You have to make sure you diet at some point. You have to get some movement in. It doesn't have to be crazy in the gym. It can be going for a walk every day if you're not someone that has done a lot of exercise. But really important for your overall health. And when we're talking thyroid function, these lifestyle habits are really important. So diet is really important. And particularly when we're talking about autoimmune thyroid conditions, so Hashimoto's or Graves', that's when diet is really important because, as we've talked about in the past with autoimmune conditions, a lot of it can come from the gut or gut hyperpermeability, things like that. So you want to support the liver with a really good diet and you want to take out any inflammatory foods. And then if we're looking at autoimmune conditions, even an autoimmune diet can be really beneficial in the short term while you're trying to reduce inflammation. If you're having flares and things, then really, really important. So they can be a little bit more restrictive, but, look, at the end of the day, do you want to get better or do you want to have the foods in there that you love? So it's,
It's quite remarkable because imagine this thought experiment. Now, I'll just hit you with this one. Okay. Albert Einstein, does everyone know Albert Einstein? Yeah. Everyone knows him. Einstein.
He's the one with the red hair that was a lot, wasn't it?
Red hair?
No, I'm joking. That was he's serious.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was a great movie.
It was so good.
That was great.
They modernised Albert Einstein.
And he split the beer at him.
Yes.
No, you try to remember that. I remember that.
All the young people wouldn't know what we're talking about. No, they don't know what
we're talking about. That was a great year with Yahoo Serious.
Yeah.
Anyway, Albert Einstein was famous for thought experiments on light and physics and that sort of thing. Yeah. And I'll give you this thought experiment. Imagine if every single disease, the average person would do a bit of exercise, improve their diet, so it was a good diet, became a good diet, slept well, and managed their stress better. Imagine just those four things. Imagine what diseases that would wipe out.
So many.
And ill health and bad. I mean, those four things are the key to pretty much everything.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, we can love these herbs and stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
But imagine that. Yeah. Now, what other specific things can we do? We need to somehow, because we mentioned toxins last week as being a bad thing. Is what can we do to reduce toxins in our environment?
Well, can I say something more about the diet?
Yeah, please do.
Toxins, because I thought about something. So when we're talking autoimmune, we want to, when we're talking about autoimmune thyroid conditions, we want to avoid gluten. And we've done a podcast on gluten. So go back and listen to that if you want to know more about
the protein in grains.
Yes. So the gliadin, which is the gluten protein, the structure of the protein of the gliadin is almost identical to the structure of the thyroid cells. So when there's autoimmunity, obviously the immune system becomes confused and it can become hyperstimulated and tag anything that could be coming in, which could be gliadin. And so then it'll tag anything very similar to gliadin, which can then be the thyroid. So the antibodies will then attack the thyroid, which is what an autoimmune is. And then you have destruction of the gland. So it's really important to take out gluten. Even some people say, but I don't react to gluten. I'm like, well, you have an autoimmune condition, so isn't it better just to take it out? Let's just take it out. It's inflammatory anyway. Yeah. So gluten is one thing, and then even grains and dairy, if you have an autoimmune condition, they can also have sort of something called molecular mimicry. So that can all impact. So they're things that you should really be taking out in the interim or primarily, and then work on underlying factors, and then things you can possibly bring back in when you get everything back on track. But that's really important. And the other thing I want to say with diet is goitrogens.
Goitrogens. Okay. Now, this is interesting. Goitrogens are foods that reduce thyroid function, just so you know.
So goitrogens, they block uptake of iodine into the thyroid. So back in the day when we were studying, and probably when you were studying, it's like, well, if you have any sort of thyroid condition, you've got to avoid goitrogenic foods.
Yeah, I remember that.
So don't eat them at all. Yeah. So goitrogens could be things like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts.
Potentially very healthy foods.
All those things are really healthy, yeah. So many healthy foods. So a fallacy.
Yeah.
It's not really a thing.
No.
It doesn't make a difference. And all these foods are super healthy and really important for nutrition and for thyroid function. Yeah. So don't avoid goitrogens. And if someone says to you, or a practitioner says you've got to avoid all your goitrogenic foods, probably see somebody else, because that's not really the case at all.
The data is very clear on this. They don't do anything.
They don't do anything. So look, lightly cook them or steam them, and that'll destroy the goitrogens anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So don't need to avoid goitrogens at all. So, and we didn't talk about iodine either. We didn't go back. We forgot to talk about iodine. I want to talk about that as well, because that's another controversial conversation,
everyone talks about that. Yeah. Well, tell us what do you mean by controversy?
So, if it always has been the case that when you have a thyroid issue, you've got to put iodine in.
It's in every
Iodine's
thyroid
the
formula.
cure-all. It'll fix everything. That's the reason why your thyroid's gone out, all of that sort of thing. Not true.
No.
I very rarely prescribe iodine, very, very rarely. And if I do, it's in very small amounts.
Small amounts, yeah.
So small amounts are fine. Yes, we need iodine for thyroid function. We need, and I should have looked this up, but I think it's something like a teaspoon for your entire life. Or is it less than a teaspoon?
No, it's about 100 micrograms a day, so 0.1 of a milligram. So over 100 days, that's like...
I think it's a pinprick for like about 3 months is like a pin head.
It's a tiny amount.
Tiniest amount. So people that high dose iodine, for one, they're doing themselves a disservice, because high levels of iodine are toxic.
Yeah, very much so.
So you want to be careful of that. If you have an autoimmune condition and you have antibodies, it can make things worse. So putting iodine in when you have either Hashimoto's or Graves', you can make things worse. So you want to be really careful about that. So you want to keep it under 100 micrograms or make even less.
Yeah.
So iodine's super, super controversial, but almost never is a thyroid condition due to lack of iodine.
No, I mean, not in Australia and maybe in Russia.
Yeah.
But because Russia has low iodine in the soil. But no, you're right. I mean, we have a lot of iodine in our diet, and plenty, and there's data to show that.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting that most thyroid formulas have this iodine.
And they have quite high dose. Well, they have a minimum of 150 micrograms, which and I really don't. I try to avoid it, to be honest. You can get a lot of it through diet. So there's not many people that have an iodine deficiency.
Can I take you back to the 1930s?
Take me back there, Steve.
They put iodine in salt.
Yes.
In Australia. So if you have just normal amounts of salt, you have plenty of iodine.
Iodized salt, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you've probably heard of iodized salt. Yeah.
Yeah. Sea vegetables as well.
Yep.
If you eat
fish.
Sushi, that sort of thing. Fish. Good. So really easy to get iodine levels. And so you don't need loads of iodine.
No.
Pregnant, it's different. You need a little bit more iodine in your diet. But yeah, iodine. And the other one we didn't talk about was tyrosine.
Tyrosine, that's an amino acid that is the T in T3 and T4.
Yes. So again, how many people have a tyrosine deficiency that's causing a thyroid condition? No one.
Tyrosine's in all sorts of foods.
It's in all of them. So, and I have found, and I've been from my own experience and then from clients, giving tyrosine can have some pretty significant issues because it increases your catecholamines.
Does increase stress
levels.
Yeah, so adrenaline. Tyrosine is the precursor to your adrenaline. It builds adrenaline, so you can stress yourself out.
So I find people that take tyrosine can get anxiety, all those types of symptoms of that highly, that adrenalized type system. So if you're taking, or you've been told to take tyrosine, iodine and tyrosine for your thyroid, just probably recheck that because that's not always the case. So
tyrosine before you work out the gym can work because you get your adrenaline release.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously it depends on your state as well, adrenal function and that sort of thing. If you don't want to be putting stimulants in, if you already have some, adrenal issues, high cortisol, that type of thing. So, and a lot of people that have thyroid conditions have high stress, as we talked about, so high cortisol. So then you're throwing sort of fuel to the fire if you're giving them tyrosine. So just be a little bit cautious about tyrosine for thyroid. So I just want to clear that. So so now we can go back to, so diet. So autoimmune diet if you have autoimmune condition.
Clean
Otherwise,
diet.
really healthy diet. Keep all your inflammatory foods out. Whole food diets.
Done.
Yep. And then reducing toxins in the environment. So, and we've talked about this in the past. So all your body products and cleaning products in the home, things like that, change them all over. So you don't have to go home and throw everything away. But when you run out of a product, just replace it with a natural product.
Sure.
Yeah, and particularly women, they use a lot of body products.
Women, big offenders of this, aren't they?
Yeah, really. Like I think that's up to 40 products women use every day or something, or might even be more.
Oh, and a lot of women put foundation on that could be a bad foundation.
Definitely. You've
got to remember that the worst cosmetic ever done was it contained radioactive radium.
Nice.
They did because it made you physically glow.
Oh, literally glow.
Literally glow.
Oh, wow, that's
so like we're now finding out that obviously there's no radium in the current ones, but radium was commonly used as cosmetic, and now we're using toxic metals in there because metals. Remember that product table we talked about last week at the big rectangular thing? I'm pointing up there because it's a rectangular thing. In the middle, you got transition metals. They're all coloured. So if you want to get earth colours, have you ever seen iron ore? The colour of that's that orangey colour. That's iron.
Yeah.
So that iron's fine for your face, but there's other minerals that change colours that aren't good for you.
Yeah.
So,
So you can use those mineral, I use a mineral foundation. Well, I use like a powder.
Healthy one,
use foundation, it's got mica in it and it has got some metals in it, but they're a lot safer than some of the other
metals,
stuff on there.
We need some metals, some of them we don't.
Yeah, that's right. So things that are in the home, as I said, and then your cleaning products as well. So you can, change to things like lemon and vinegar and things that are really effective cleaners. Plastic containers we talked about. Make sure you're not cooking in plastics, not drinking out of plastics, all of that sort of thing. Organic food, if you can afford it. If you can't, then look at the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, and at least look at those. Bringing those in. So the Dirty Dozen is like the top 12 that are the most sprayed, that are most toxic, so have thin skins and they absorb. And then the Clean 15 are the ones that you really want to focus on having organic. And I can't keep up, but it used to be things like celery, apples, grapes, things with thin skins. So thicker skins like watermelon, bananas and things because they've got the skin on them, but thin skin vegetables and fruits.
I gave you an apple today. Am I trying to poison you?
Oh, now you were just talking about Snow White, and now you're giving me an apple. This is interesting, Steve.
A bit of a theme flying,
isn't there?
There is a bit
of a theme flying around.
Oh, yes, shocking.
And then even in your garden, pesticides and things like that. Just be careful with those as well.
Look, people still spray their paths with glyphosate.
Yeah, well, my partner who doesn't listen to this was spraying he'd spray the weeds. But then you still have to go pick out the dead weed. So I'm like, why don't we just bypass the chemical and I'll just pick them out?
Oh, you use glyphosate. Got to be very careful with that because it aerosols.
Yeah.
And I mean, all right, let's say you're going to use it. Say you're going to be treat it as a toxin.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't use it anymore because I banned it. I mean, when I saw him doing it, he bought it and he didn't even know. So I don't think it was glyphosate, but it was something in a pump bottle. Anyway, so...
Roundup is a brand name.
I think it was some type of Roundup, which is terrible. We can talk about
glyphosate.
Yeah, it's glyphosate. I know. So we don't use it anymore. But yes, be careful of that sort of thing as well. It leaches into the soil and all that sort of thing. So, there are little things you can do to start to clean up your environment, and then obviously clean up your diet. Get some exercise in, get some fresh air, some sunshine, all the things we talk about. Stress management, super, super important. We've done podcasts on stress recently. And that should set you on the path for getting things back in balance anyway.
The good thing about what you've described is this is really good for everybody. Yes, for your thyroid. But clean up your life. Develop healthy habits.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with it, see someone like yourself to get yourself moving in this direction. Because if you're missing, those 4 key lifestyle things, getting rid of the toxins is good too, but those 4 key lifestyle things are just incredible. Diet, stress, sleep, exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just incredible. That'll do it. Wow. Look at all the papers here.
I know. So go back and listen to part 1 if you didn't listen to part 1 first and you've cheated.
Cheated.
Listen to the treatments first.
Story. Just tell me to fix it. It's like, no.
Yeah. So go back and have a listen to anything that maybe that could be driving your thyroid condition, some of the causes that we talked about. And then come back and re-listen to this one.
And come back and listen to the other one because it shows you all the symptoms and signs and diseases that are associated with low thyroid. It's pretty much all of them.
Yeah, it is.
From cramps to cardiovascular. you know, to depression, to anything else. Incredible, isn't it?
So many things.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Nic, well, that's about all we have time for.
That's it. So, yeah, thanks, Steve.
Have a good day. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.